Hello, Mustang fans, and welcome to another edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access, and at smsumustangs.com. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at SMSU, and we're going to talk Mustang football again this week. We'll take a look at the highlights from the Mustangs' loss at Minnesota Crookston. We'll analyze the ball game, and then we'll look ahead to this weekend's game in Sioux Falls against the University of Sioux Falls. And joining us, as always, is the head coach, Cory Sauter. Cory, thanks for joining us. And again, the Mustangs coming off a tough 33-28 road loss to Minnesota Crookston this past Saturday. The Mustangs fell behind early, made a late run in the fourth quarter, got to within 5 points, but the Golden Eagles able to run out the clock and pick up the victory. And Coach, what can you say? Obviously, Crookston gets their first win this season, and it's always disappointing to lose a ball game. But a game that I think, if just in my opinion, if we play, maybe 9 out of 10 times, we're going to win that football game. But first of all, you got to give Minnesota Crookston credit. They made the plays they had to and got the win.
Well, they did, and when you look at this game. A team that on paper you think we match up pretty well, we stack up pretty well against them, but the bottom line is we didn't get it done, and that's on all of us. And whenever you play on the road, you have to play well early. You want to get your team into it. You want to try to take them out of their rhythm. We didn't do that. Our opening kickoff, we ended up kicking it out of bounds. They get it on the 40, and first touch right out of the gate, they take it for 60, and that sends a statement right from the get-go, and kind of a wake-up call for everybody. It was good to see then our offense go down and respond, but it was one of those types of afternoons where they played better than us, and that's the most disappointing thing is, within our schedule, this is one that we're probably one of the only games that we're going to be maybe favored going in the ball game, and we didn't play that way. We didn't resemble that at all. And again, you've got to tip your hat to Crookston to break that streak of losses within our conference, and we've got to come back now and get ourselves ready to go for a big stretch of games coming up.
Very similar conditions the past 3 weeks, Coach. Wind-wise, a pretty windy day again, going right down, straight down the field. And as you mentioned, with the wind to your back, you go down and score on that opening drive and tie the ball game up. But in that second, third quarter, it seemed like just battling that wind. I don't know if that's not an excuse, obviously, because both teams have to play with it. But you just kind of fell behind, and it seemed like falling by 19-7 at time in that first half. The turnovers obviously didn't help, and sometimes maybe it seemed like the guys are thinking, well, we got to get a 12-point touchdown on this drive, and there's plenty of time in the game, as we saw, we had that ability to come back.
Yeah, we after the ball game, I just addressed the team with really 3 things that we failed as a group, and the first one was turnovers, and we had 3 turnovers with our group, and anytime you have that many turnovers, really doesn't matter who you play, it's going to be not to your favor, and we didn't create any turnovers, and so they're on a +3 as far as that ratio, and I don't see too many teams winning with that type of ratio. The second thing is penalties. We had a lot of penalties, just uncharacteristic ones, really in all 3 phases. We had them on offense, defense, special teams, and then the third part is third downs. We struggled on third downs, both as an offense and our defense, giving up some third and longs, and especially coming down the stretch when we had really a good situation, we ended up letting them convert a 3rd and 12, and so those are really the 3 areas we have to get better at, and so the good thing is we were able to respond late in the game. We had 3 straight series where we scored touchdowns, and that was nice to see, the fact that we didn't panic at that point and were able to put some things together, but we had a lot of nice drives going, but then you turn the ball over and that just constantly kills you. And so it's one of those things. It was a perfect storm. We had a lot of just weird things happen that way, and things that normally we'd, prime example, Tyler Erickson had a fumble. He caught the ball. We got first down. We're, driving inside the 30-yard line, and we haven't had a fumble all last spring, all training camp and all this year by a wide receiver, and it's just one of those things I can't explain.
Yeah, Mustangs 3 turnovers in that first half, and as Coach mentioned, one near the 30-yard line. Mustangs going in for a tying score possibly, and then a couple of interceptions, one off a tip pass. And you talk about the third down conversions statistics. Mustangs just 2 of 7 on the offensive side on third down, and on the defensive side 9 of 16. The Golden Eagles in the ball game, and they were 3 of 4 on third down. So when even a couple of those times they didn't pick up on third down,
right.
and give them credit. They kept drives alive, and offensively, you're still just 2 of 7 on third down, but you put up 423 yards of offense. Had a couple of big rush by Warren Matthews, and as you showed 3 times. Last 3 possessions you score, and you get that one stop possibly in the fourth quarter. I really believe you could have gone down and probably won that football game, if you got that stop. But as you mentioned, the perfect storm. Offense at times had a couple of 3 and outs and turnovers, and the defense got stops at those times. Mm-hmm. Just couldn't mix it all together, and that's a difference in a game and why you lose by 1 possession.
It is, and you only get about 10 to 12 possessions in a ball game, and you can't afford to have a bunch of 3 and outs. And for the most part, we did have put some nice drives together and things. Then the turnover, or we put a nice drive together and we get a personal foul or a penalty on offense, and now you're 3rd and 15. Well, there's not too many calls you can get 3rd and 15s picked up consistently, and so that's the frustrating thing is we were able to move the ball. I mean, we had over 400 yards of offense and those things, but points is the name of the game on offense. You've got to score points. It doesn't matter how many yards you throw for or how many rushing yards you have, things of that nature. You've got to be able to put points on the board, and vice versa with your defense. You got to prevent them from getting in the end zone. And just to start out the way we did, as we talked early in the show, was you can't give them a 60-yard touchdown first play. I mean, that just gives them hope. That gives them really a good feel going into the rest of that ball game, and we gave them that more the mental edge, so to speak, for the rest of that first half especially. And
one thing we've always talked about, Coach, you're going to have injuries in the game of football, and it's that kind of mentality, next man up. And Deshaun Miller didn't play, John Cox on the offensive line. You had a couple of other injuries throughout the ball game, and I guess that's one thing that you've stressed in your coaching staff is we can't dwell on those. Somebody's got to step up and make some plays, and it's a team game, and hopefully despite what happens on the injury front, there's opportunities for guys to make some plays, and hopefully that continues here, and hopefully we'll have a couple of guys can come back and play this week, but we can't dwell on that, and just somebody's got to step up and make some plays.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in the fact that everybody's going to have injuries. I don't care what team you are. It's just a matter of what positions they're going to be at and how many of them, and so they're inevitable. You're going to have them, and so that has to be the last thing on your mind. You've got to work through those things. You've got to get the next guy ready to play, get them enough reps so that they're comfortable, and we as coaches have to put them in good position to be successful. There might be some things that we were really good as an offense or a defense in the previous 3 weeks, but if a certain player isn't healthy, now you might have to change some of those things up. It might not look as pretty, for that particular play, and you've got to adjust those things accordingly. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things that you're always going to have to deal with. It's not like you're going to go through the season with your same 11 guys every single week.
Well, again, the Mustangs falling 33-28 to Minnesota Crookston on Saturday afternoon. A couple of statistics from the ball game. Warren Matthews, a 100-yard rushing game, the 6th of his career, 139 and a touchdown on 13 carries, had a 58-yard touchdown run in the game. Gannon Moore out of the backfield, also solid, rushing the ball, 69 carries and a score, and also had 10 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown, 10 receptions, a career high for Gannon, and that's something that he's really had a very good ability, Coach, is catching the ball out of the backfield. He had a big game a couple years ago against St. Cloud State, and that's something obviously you saw that the Golden Eagles, if they blitzed a lot, you were able to beat that with some screens and whatnot, and Tyler got him the ball and some big plays.
Yeah, our running backs are really playing well right now. Probably our strongest point within our offense, and with that being said, you want to get them the ball as much as possible, and based on what they were playing, it made sense for us to get them more and more touches in the screen game, and they've been able to capitalize on really almost every time we've been able to get them the football. And the nice thing about Gannon, he's just such a big back that he's able to make that first guy. He can make him miss, but he can also stiff arm. He can also bounce off some defenders. Really on our last touchdown, we scored from the 8-yard line going in. I mean, it wasn't blocked perfectly by no means, and he ended up just kind of muscling his way into the end zone. And but no, both our backs are really playing well, and it's just good to see them really excelling within our system.
Yes, and of course the Mustangs this past weekend, a couple other statistics I should mention from the ball game on the defensive side of it. Obviously the running backs had a very good game, but on the defensive side, A.J. Page with a career-high 14 tackles, 2.5 for loss, had a sack, and also got a hand in on an extra point block, and he played very well. And Blake Pennick with 9 tackles for the Mustangs, and then J.J. Bobowitz with 13 for the Mustangs there in the linebacking core. And the Mustangs but do lose the ball game, though, 33-28 to Minnesota Crookston. You are watching the Cory Sauter Show here on Studio One and at smsumustangs.com. We've talked about the ball game. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the contest at Widseth Field in Crookston, Minnesota. And we open up, Coach, here in the first play of the opening drive. We're down 7-0, but Warren Matthews for a 14-yard gain.
Yeah, it's good to see our run game get back in effect, but we cover up their D-line, and Warren does a nice job with his vision and being able to, and we get a good block by our receiver Erickson as well.
Mustangs continue on in the drive, and 23-yard gain for Matthews. Again, toward his 100-yard game.
Right, and you can see from the end zone here, just great vision by Warren, being able to see that cutback, and then we get another nice blocks down the field, and gets an ankle tackle, but it's good to see him get things rolling.
Tyler Pashon caps the drive with a 2-yard touchdown run up the middle, tying the ball game at 7. 5 minutes into this first quarter.
Yeah, good push up front. Really, Tyler just keeps his feet driving, and we end up getting a pretty easy touchdown.
Here's A.J. Page forcing quarterback pressure and an incomplete pass.
And you can see from the end zone copy, does a nice job avoiding the running back and getting the big hit on the QB.
Getting a career high tackles for Page in the contest. Tate Bunkers with the tackle for loss here, number 3.
You can see him here from the end zone. He is essentially on a safety blitz. You can see him on the right side of your screen, times it up fairly well, sneaks through, and makes the tackle in the backfield.
Against one of the top running backs in the conference. And that ends the first quarter. And continue on the defensive side. Here's A.J. Page flushing out the quarterback, and then Donovan Woods making Crookston turn it over on downs.
Yep, it's just a good all-out effort up front as well as in our secondary. Anytime you can put some pressure on your quarterback, he's not going to be as accurate, but A.J.'s playing pretty well. He had a nice game for us, and then you can see Donovan getting that right arm in there to break up the play.
On first down, a sack for A.J. Page here, and Crookston forced a punt a couple of plays later.
Nice thing you see from A.J. is just his explosion, his change of direction, change of speed. He gets off the block and just accelerates to the quarterback and makes a big sack.
And the Mustang defense continues. Tate Bunkers and Mark Schollmeyer coming up with a big hit.
And you'll see great pursuit on this play just by all the guys on the perimeter, and we ended up bottling them up for little or no gain.
Couple of veterans on this play. Bunkers, a junior, and Schollmeyer, number 50, a senior. A big hit.
Yep, real nice hit by Schollmeyer.
And then we continue on the offense. Pashon gets a swing pass here, keeping it going here by Brett Wickett.
Yep, not a great field position to start out a drive when you're on your own 5-6 yard line. We ended up getting a guy leaking through, but flipped it out to our back. He was able to get us out of the hole, so to speak.
Yeah, Wickett with that block, and he's been battling an injury. has Britt, but he comes back here with a nice catch down the seam.
Yeah, and you'll see here just really, really nice pass protection. We've got good vision by Tyler in the pocket, but it all starts with pass protection. You can see there anybody could stand back there and make that throw just because of, there's really nobody on his face, no one in his feet. It's just good to see that.
And there's Gannon Moore with a 13-yard reception. Mustangs trying to score here late in this first half, but a turnover on an interception late in the ball game kept it at 19-7 here at the end of the first half, I should say.
Right, we're just flipping it out to our back. He ends up beating that inside backer, and we get all the way up to the outside.
So the Mustangs trail 19-7 at halftime. We'll just keep going here, looking into the third quarter, and the Mustangs able to get things going here. Coach, here's a 13-yard or 17-yard screen pass to Gannon Moore again, one of his 10 catches.
Yeah, again, we kept him very involved, kept feeding him, and he was very productive with the ball in his hands. You can see we get some nice blocks. Receivers did a nice job all day long in the run game as well as in our screen game. Just getting on guys, making sure that no one had a clean shot at the ball carrier, and we had some really, really nice production with our screen game.
Mustangs unfortunately not able to make that into points, but here the Mustangs finally get back on the board, and a great run by Warren Matthews. Just great blocking altogether.
Yep, huge hole. You can see from the end zone that their linebacker to the right ends up knifing into the A gap. There's no one in the B gap, and the safety tries to track him down, but Warren's got some pretty good speed and was able to outrun that pursuit angle and get us a quick score.
Again, that's a 58-yard touchdown run. Here's A.J. Page again. Mustangs with some momentum, trying to get that football back.
Right. You'll see A.J. here on the left side, I believe, and does a nice job avoiding and knifes inside and makes that tackle. It's good to see him, and as we mentioned, he had a really, really nice ball game.
And Bunkers again from his safety position makes another tackle for the Mustang defense on the same drive.
And against Crookston, against that running back, this is where you need to really apply hits near that line of scrimmage. You do not want Haley getting deep within your backfield, because that's when he's really dangerous. So it's good to see get some hits in the backfield.
Unfortunately, Crookston was able to pick up a first down, a couple of big third down conversions, had a 7-minute drive to take a 33-14 lead, but the Mustangs here in the fourth quarter start to click, and a great catch here by Adam Olson.
Yep, just got a play action pass, a deep over by Adam, and really the only spot Tyler could have thrown it. I mean, it was in tight coverage, and Adam does a nice job securing the football. But you can see there's really no other spot that ball could have been, and just great concentration by Adam.
Facing 4th and 2, ball game on the line. Mustangs pick up the first down and more here. Vachon to Gannon Moore.
Decided to go play action, and we flipped it out to Gannon again, and they're playing a man coverage, and you end up getting a pick, and he ends up taking it all the way. It was just good to see they're selling out to stop the run on 4th and 2. And good concentration by Gannon as well. That wasn't an easy ball to catch, especially with him turning all the way around, and ended up getting the touchdown off of it.
Made the score 33-21, and the defense comes up with a couple of plays here to give the ball back to the Mustang offense.
Really good patience here by Bobowitz, here on the right side, inside backer, being patient, being ready for that ball to come to him, staying disciplined within his gap, and being able to bottle up the ball carrier.
And 3rd and 9, Mark Schulmeyer with the tackle for loss, and it makes Crookston punt the football away and give you some momentum.
Yep, he'll be on the right side of your screen here at that defensive end spot, but you can see how he gets his left arm on him, left hand, grabs him, and waits for everyone else to help out with the tackle.
And Tyler Vachon fires a pass in here to Abe Koss, somehow finds it in there, and Abe with the catch and moves the sticks.
Again, really nice pocket to throw into. You can see from this view, there's really nobody in the quarterback's face. He has plenty of time, plenty of space to throw that, and sticks it in between a couple defenders. It was good to see him make some of those throws.
Capping the 9-play, 63-yard drive was Gannon Moore, and this made the score 33-28.
This is the one I was talking about earlier, where they got a lot of a lot of defenders in the box. We end up running an inside zone run, and he ends up muscling his way all the way in for the touchdown.
And that made the score 33-28. 33-28. Crookston got the ball back with just under 5 minutes to go, and unfortunately picked up a third and long situation that kept the drive alive, and they were able to run out the clock and get the win, 33-28. And you showed some fight, obviously, Coach. You scored last 3 drives, and defense made some stops there in that fourth quarter to get the ball back, and just couldn't make that final one. But despite all that, you did scored 14 points in that fourth quarter. And I know it's not much consolation, but the guys didn't quit, and hopefully that can build some momentum heading into this week's game.
Yeah, well, football is such a game of momentum, and we started to get the momentum. It just happened to be really late in the ball game, and it's just one of those things where if we had one more possession, maybe we had an opportunity to win the ball game at the end. But bottom line is we didn't win the football game. That's what we're going to be judged on, and so biggest thing now is we've got a stretch of games coming forward that if we feel sorry for ourselves at all, I mean, those games could be really ugly if we don't play well. The combined record of our next 3 opponents is 11-1, and really some of the best play we've seen so far. So it'll be a massive challenge ahead of us, and we've got to get ourselves situated. I know the players had one of those player-only meetings, this week, and just wanted to make sure that we were focused and ready to go for the next third of the season. Basically a third of our season's completed. We're going in a very tough stretch coming forward, and so we had a nice practice yesterday. We got to build off of it and really get ourselves ready to go against a very, very good Sioux Falls team.
Well, you look back a couple of weeks ago, that tough home loss to the University of Mary, a game that you're up 7 late in the third quarter, driving for a potential 2-score lead. It doesn't happen, and the next 5 quarters now we've lost 2 games, and that's the thing you talked about. There are some good senior leaders out there to keep this team intact, but I suppose that that's a tough thing as a coaching staff now, and there's still a lot of football left to go. We're starting the division play now. We're 0-0 in the division, and there's a lot of things to play for still, and I'm sure that's what you've been stressing to the guys all week.
Well, it's nice that it matters to our players, because when we got off the field at Crookston, we got on the bus, there literally was no words said on the entire trip back, and I didn't have to say anything. That's just how they traveled. I mean, it mattered a lot to them, and so that was good to see. Obviously not good to lose a ball game, but good to see that they just didn't blow it off as just another loss. It matters, and same thing during this week of practice. It matters to them. We had very spirited practices. We don't have to do a whole lot to get them going, which is really encouraging, because there's a lot of teams that may start throwing the towel in, and I just don't see that from this group. Good leaders, good seniors. They've got a great handle within our players, and so main thing is just going back to work, putting the previous game behind you. Easier said than done, but I really believe that effort-wise we're going to be where we need to be. It's we lack in a little bit of the execution department, and that's an ongoing battle that you'll always have. Whether you're winning or losing, you've got to be able to execute, and so that'll be our biggest challenge here as we move forward.
Well, again, the Mustangs on the road again this Saturday night. It's in Sioux Falls against the University of Sioux Falls at 6:30. Kickoff. The game will be televised locally on KDLT television out of Sioux Falls, so if you have that on your local cable package, you can watch the Mustangs play, or of course listen to it on the radio as well. But again, the Mustangs and the University of Sioux Falls are the Cougars at 4-0. They're just joining the conference, their first year in the league, and obviously had a great football program at the NAI level, and competing for national championships, and they've continued that now at the Division II level. They got a very good squad to coach, and just looking at their 2 deep, I mean, they've got, I think it was 16 senior starters on the offensive, defensive side of the football. That's really unheard of. I mean, they're a veteran squad, and they're ranked now number 25 in the country, so a chance for the Mustangs to do something that's never been done, and that's beat a nationally ranked team at the Division II level. But talk about the Cougars, it's definitely a challenge. They've got a lot of skill players, and really good on the defensive side of the football as well.
Well, you flip the film on and you find out in a hurry that they're very talented. They're well coached. They're a group that is very physical, they're fast, and they're in really good position a lot of times. And looking at their defense, they're very stingy. I mean, they don't allow you to get in the red zone to begin with. They stop you on third downs. I mean, really, I looked at all their third downs, third and extra long. No one's ever converted a third and long on them. So it's one of those teams you've got to stay manageable on third down. But they just got good players. I mean, they just do. And you flip the film on, and everybody's just flying around to the football. They've got on the other side of the ball, they've got a pair of pretty good receivers, a quarterback that can sling it real nice, and so they just have a nice package. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and they've got a lot of talent, a lot of experience, so to speak, because they do have a lot of seniors. They've played in a lot of big ball games, over the years, and it's starting to show that. So it'll be a tough matchup, no question about it. Going at their place, a night game. I'm sure they're going to be jacked up, ready to go to find a way to be 5-0 to start the season. So we've got to play the role of spoiler and do something that's never been done here at Southwest. And if you can't get excited about that, then you have an issue. I have an issue with it because this is fun. I mean, you're playing college football. There's nothing else greater than that, and so the challenge will be there. There's no question about that. But we've got to play pretty much flawless football to be able to beat a Sioux Falls team.
Yeah, again, that'll be 6:30. First time the Mustangs and the Cougars have played since the late 70s, and the Mustangs and Cougars now members of the NSIC. And again, as we mentioned, opening up South Division play the next 7 games. I should say 7 games. What is my math here? Yeah, next 7 games will all be division games here, and wrapping up this 2012 season. So kind of a fresh start here. The Mustangs and the Cougars starting up 6:30 down at Bob Young Field in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Cory Sauter Show. Until next time, remember, go Mustangs.